Hey, Jerry, welcome in. I am so excited to finally have you here. I think we've been trying to get you on the show for about a year, if I remember correctly.
Oh, make it sound like I'm hard to reach or something. Make me sound like I'm difficult.
No, what I mean is you're in demand, my friend. You're in
Oh, well,
demand.
that's very nice. Yes, and we know so many of the same people too. So
We
I'm
do.
excited to finally be here and hanging out with you too.
Yeah, thanks. So I just shared with our listeners a little bit about you, but I always love for my guests to give my listeners the whole scoop: who you are, who you serve, how did you get to be an entrepreneur, all that stuff.
Mm. Well, often refer to myself as an accidental entrepreneur.
Same.
I never wanted to own my own business. I remember working in an agency and they had me sign a contract that said if I left, I wouldn't start a competing business within a year. And I was
Right.
just thinking like, I'll sign one for 10 years. I'm never gonna own my own business. Now I
Right.
can't imagine anything else. But the biggest thing that I am out to do is help entrepreneurs grow their business before they burn out. A lot of entrepreneurs are solving problems that people have. I love the idea of entrepreneurship, small business, and problem solving for people. The fact that now we can do it for people all over the world, wherever they might be, is
Yeah.
so great. But I see so many people get into entrepreneurship and get completely lost in doing things in a what I call a low leverage way. And then they
Hmm.
end up burning out before they can even make their impact. So that's kind of my underlying mission.
Yeah.
And for years, I lied to my clients because they would ask, like, hey, how do you get so much done? And I would be like, oh, well, I've always been like an efficiency geek. So I'd be like, well,
Yeah.
here's how I arrange my calendar and here's how I batch my content. But it wasn't until a few years ago I realized it's really not about the efficiency hacks. Like those can save you a few minutes, but
Yeah.
it was really about the way that I build my business out of what I call high leverage assets like YouTube channels,
Right.
where you just get this much higher ROE, return on effort, as I like to
Uh-huh.
say, from everything that you do. And so when you do that, that's when you can scale without having to work more hours or without having to hire a big team or anything like that.
I love that. And my listeners probably all just leaned in. They're like, "Oh, say more, Jerry." So and we'll get into that here in just a second. But I do want to ask you, I always love to ask my guests for a fun fact, random fact, something that people might not know about you.
Oh, these questions are so tricky because it's like, oh, I don't know what's fun to somebody else. But let's see. I was born in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
I before I got on YouTube, I worked as a morning radio personality for 15 years, and my wife and I hosted a show together.
How fun.
And let's see. Oh, and I actually did stand up comedy professionally, very, very briefly.
Did
Um,
you really?
I did. It was by far the hardest thing that I've ever
I
had to
can
do. Like
imagine.
if you worry about putting yourself out there in your business, go stand in a dark comedy club and try and make strangers laugh. That'll
Yes.
that'll put everything else into perspective real quick.
I can imagine. I have been told that I should try comedy. One of my clients actually teaches women how to be funny and how to do stand up. And she
Hmm.
was like, "Tracy, you're a natural. You'd be so good at this." And I'm like, "Okay, now I can speak to a room full of people. Give me a microphone, put me on a stage, no big deal. But if
Yeah.
I have to make people laugh, I'm like, huh, what? I felt everything you just said. I'm like, oh no, mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah, and nothing about it came naturally to me. I've never been one of those people where people are like, "Oh, you're just naturally so funny." I studied like the craft, the joke writing,
Yeah,
all of that. Now, I think all of that has helped me in everything else that I do now,
right,
including copywriting and things like that. Because some of
yeah,
those same structures, it's just basically human psychology that works for conveying and communicating information, even when it's
yeah.
not funny. So I think it served me well.
Yeah, I think that's so fun. And your wife and you hosted a radio. Okay, did you ever get any fights on air?
Oh yeah.
Is that why
um,
everybody loved it?
Well, no, 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 no. We really don't have that many conflicts. Like the thing I
Yeah.
tell people about my wife and I, and when other people say, "Oh, marriage is hard. You got to work at it," I kind of go, "Oh gosh, I think we got lucky."
Right. I
Um,
think I did
like,
too. Yes.
oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
We both have things that we are passionate about,
Yeah.
but they're opposite things.
Yeah.
So, for example, the things that she's really specific and passionate about, like, well, I think the living room should look this way. I'm like, "Pfft, I don't care, whatever." Right.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
things I'm passionate about, like, no, this is the computer we need. She's like, "Pfft, I
Right.
don't care, whatever." So we
That is
have these, yeah, these opposites that I think have worked out really well. We did, you know, I remember there was one time where, we got pretty good at, even if there was tension, trying to just show up and put on the show every day. But one time a listener called and said, "Are you guys in a fight or something? Because it seems different on the air today." And we both looked at each other like, and it was live, and we were like, no, everything's good. Everything's fine. So
you're fine. Everything's fine.
People can tell. So that did happen occasionally because, it was real life. But
yeah. I think that's hysterical. Yeah. You're both like, we're fine. We're fine.
All good. I don't know what you mean. Everything is totally fine right now.
Right. I am not mad at all. I am not kicking her in the shin under the table. Yeah. Totally. No. And I can relate to that with my husband too, because now my first marriage, a lot of my listeners know I didn't get it right. Got 2 great kids out of it, but I got it really right the second time with John, because as you're saying, like, he loves to plan our trips. Like, we're going to Scotland in April. And he's like, I think we need to go to Edinburgh. I think we need to go to Glasgow. We're going to take the train. We're going to do da, 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 da. What do you think about all that? I'm like, let me know what date we're leaving, what I need to pack. I'm going to get on the plane and then I'm going to do whatever you want to do. Because I'm like, I just want to go, but then like
thanks for planning.
Yeah, totally. But like when we redid the guest bathroom, I was like, I think I want this wallpaper. He was like, knock yourself out. I'm whatever. I'm good. Just
exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we get along fine. So let's talk about, and also I wanted to go back to one thing you said about the accidental entrepreneur. I completely relate to that, Jerry, because my father was an architect who worked for himself, and he made it look miserable. Miserable. And I was like, when I had the epiphany when I was in corporate, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't think I can work for these people anymore. And I was like, well, the alternative is, to be like, do what my dad did. And I was like, man, neither of these things look good. But thankfully I've created something a little bit better, a little bit different than what he did. But yeah, I was reluctant as well.
Yeah. Well, we have so much opportunity now with online and tech, and you can start a company for like practically $0.
Yes.
And for me, I was working full-time at an agency, and I started my YouTube channel. It was actually just sort of a hobby on the side. I had some clients that were asking about YouTube. I'm like, oh, let me go learn about this by doing it. So I started this channel, and slow in the beginning, but then it took off. And I actually had a total stranger reach out to me from Florida, and he's like, "Hey, I love your videos. I've been sharing them with my clients. You must be doing so well. Like, how are you making money? You must be doing so well with this." And I literally said, "I don't know how to make money with this. Like, what are you talking about?" And so he offered to get on a Zoom call with me, and we got on a call, and he told me about courses and memberships and things like that. And all of a sudden, this light bulb went off. That, I had, the audience wasn't that big at the time, but I had an audience at least. And there were all these ways that I could do that. So I started it as a side hustle. And then it all of a sudden clicked. I could build this thing where I can, set my own hours, work from anywhere in the world. And like I said, now I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah. It's amazing. I know. I feel the same way. All right, let's dive into YouTube, because I know my listeners are dying to know. Because I told him in the open, I said, now, Jerry is really good at doing this in a very short period of time. So I think we're all just like on the edge of their seats. Here's one thing that I know that they're feeling. They're feeling like YouTube seems like a heavy lift. Like it just feels like so much work compared to just writing a post, putting it out on social media. So make the argument, if you would, or help us overcome that feeling. Maybe I should phrase it that way. Is it really worth the time and the effort? And how do we stop feeling like, oh my God, it just feels enormous?
Yeah. Well, so there's a few things that we need to consider here. First of all, for years, I was trying to get a lot of my entrepreneur friends on YouTube, and they kept saying, I don't have time. I don't have time. Yes, I'm going to, I don't have time. And then 6 months would pass, a year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. And so as AI started coming out, I started thinking, okay, well, what if I could show people how to do this in less time?
Yeah.
So I would ask some of my entrepreneur friends, one of Mariana, I'd be like, what if you could do it in 3 hours a week? Oh, I don't have time, 2 hours a week. And then when I finally started saying, what if you could grow a lead generating channel in 90 minutes a week? It was like all of a sudden she leaned in and put her hand, or her chin on her hand, like, tell me more, like, let me hear about this. And so it really took rethinking the whole thing. But a couple things I want to frame about YouTube for you before we get into the 90 minutes a week part is
Yeah.
it's very different. It doesn't happen overnight, which is frustrating. So
Yeah.
you feel like you're not making progress in the beginning. Like
Mhm.
I started a new TikTok account a couple years ago just to experiment, and I had
Yeah.
2,500 views in 2 days.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was like, wow, this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get that on YouTube. So I wanted to, I want to frame it so that you understand that when we upload a video to YouTube, it's not like any of the other platforms because that video can live on for years and years and years.
Okay.
So I have videos that I uploaded in 2017
Mhm.
that are still getting 500 views a month right now.
Wow. Okay.
And of all the videos I've ever uploaded, 85% of them have gotten viewed in the last month.
Wow.
So when you think of it that way, you think of the effort that goes into a video. It's not like putting up an Instagram reel where you're like, okay,
Right.
cool. Maybe I got 500 views or 1,000 views or whatever. And then it mostly dies.
Right.
With YouTube, every video is like having this marketing employee that you invested money or time into once to create. And then they're
Right.
just going to go out and work for free and tell people about you and the problems you solve forever.
Yeah.
And so when I started this, I didn't fully understand this, but the first year I was on YouTube, I got about 1,100 views total across my videos. It was a partial year. The
Okay.
second year I was on YouTube, almost 300,000 views. The
Wow.
third year was 1.2 million, and the fourth year was almost 2 million views. And
Nice.
that's because the older videos and keep getting views, and then the newer
Yeah.
videos get views. So
Yeah.
it's totally different with YouTube in that way. So the second part is how do we do this in less time? I
Yes.
do have to say, and I'm a recovering perfectionist, we have to let go of the perfectionism a little bit at least, okay?
Right.
I like to share with people, my father-in-law is a structural engineer for Boeing, the airplane manufacturer.
Oh,
And I like to
yes.
point out that airplane manufacturing is a place for perfection. Please get this right, okay?
Please.
Yes, YouTube is not
Yes.
a place for perfection. It's not permanent. You can delete
Right.
things, you can experiment. And I
Right.
know we need to show up for our businesses and we want to show up professionally for our businesses.
Right.
But even when it comes down to like editing, YouTube did this huge study just recently where they connected sensors to people's brains to find out what made people enjoy videos. So they didn't
Okay.
ask them because that's misleading, right?
Right.
People will say, oh, well, I like it when they do this and that, and that's what they think they like. Well, the brain sensors showed one thing over everything else.
What
And
was
that
it?
was an emotional connection with the person on the screen
Uh-huh.
trumps all technical editing, fancy jump cuts, adding extra footage, all of that kind of stuff. It didn't
Wow.
matter compared to that emotional connection. And as entrepreneurs, the emotional connection is built in. If you help somebody solve a problem, they're happy about it. If you
Yeah.
talk about their pain points, as we
Mhm.
do as entrepreneurs, it's already built into your video. We don't have to go make the next tear-jerking documentary for people to feel emotion. And so that's
Right.
why there's such an opportunity on YouTube for entrepreneurs right now.
Yeah. I like what you pointed out there because so many of my clients and students think that because I teach list growth
Mhm.
and organic strategies for growth.
Mhm.
And they think that they have to have um, thousands and thousands of followers and vanity numbers on these platforms in order to make money. And what you said is the opposite of that. And also, I like what you said about YouTube having longevity because
Mhm.
our stories disappear in 24 hours. How goodness knows how long our reels last. There's very little percentage of people that actually see the majority of stuff that we post on the social platforms. And so I like what you shared about YouTube and the other thing I like about what you shared, it made me just have a visual in my head of YouTube is on my TV now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just on my computer or my phone. I can access it on my TV. So I like that it's got so much longevity to it. Now, let me ask you this really quick, and before we dive into the 90 minutes thing. When it comes to podcasting, which I take this video and we pull the audio and I use it for my podcast.
Mhm.
The reason why I love podcasts is for the same reason, is because of the longevity. As long as my show is in existence, people can go back and binge listen to stuff from years ago. So tell me, what are your thoughts on comparing those two platforms? Do you still is YouTube stronger because it's video and people can actually see me? They can see me talking with my hands. They can see, that we're both wearing almost the same colors, blue today. Um, But yeah, tell me, do you think podcasting is like a good second to something like YouTube?
I think, I talk about YouTube as a high leverage asset.
Yeah.
And for me, a high leverage asset is anything that you can build in your business that has a really high return on effort. Another
Okay.
thing that we talk about is that it gets stronger over time.
Okay.
In other words, the more videos I publish on YouTube, the more valuable my channel becomes.
Yes.
And podcasting fits that same thing.
Okay.
Podcasting is very trust building because audio, even the audio side, is a very intimate medium.
Right.
And it also, you grow that evergreen library of content. Now, the weakness of audio only podcasting is it doesn't have the built-in growth like YouTube channels do. And so even if you put your podcast on YouTube, it's still not quite the same as making a video solving a specific problem for your ideal client. But
Okay.
I think they're both great formats. I have a podcast and with my radio background, obviously I love audio content. I'm a big fan of that. But
Right.
that's the difference when it comes to business owners is, and we can talk about this in a second, but when YouTube understands who your videos are for,
Yeah.
it will promote your videos to new people.
Nice.
And podcasts sometimes tend to jump around more, or a single episode is about more than one topic, and it makes it harder for YouTube to match it up with the right viewers.
Got it. Okay. Okay, cool. So I like the longevity of it. I like that it can actually deepen that know, like, and trust factor faster than a
Big
static
time.
post.
Yeah.
Just flat words on a page just don't do the same job. And I like that you explained and were honest about the fact that this is not an overnight thing, because I think also in this day and age of things happening quickly, I mean, like, we have a microwave, for goodness sake. We can have a meal in a minute,
Yeah.
and we just want things to just be like instant. We have to understand. I like that you were honest about the fact that we need to put some time into this before we can see a return on our effort and a list growth and a return on our investment of time. Because my clients and students get frustrated. They're like, how long is this organic growth thing going to take? I'm like, look, it can take a good 18 to 24 months to build a business that's giving you income,
Mhm.
So I really like that you were honest about that. I think that's so, so important. So let's talk about the 90 minutes a week thing, because when you said that to me the first time, I was like, that sounds a
Liar.
little, yeah. I was like, okay, Jerry. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, it's like when somebody says, oh, I had $100,000 launch the first time. I always want to go, did you? And then also, can I see your profit and loss statement so I know how much your expenses were? You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like when you
right.
see something like that, you're like, is it really
I
going to
spent
make me
$99,000 on ads and I had a
right?
$100,000 launch.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, tell us how we're going to lose 90 pounds a week. No, I'm kidding. 90 minutes a week on YouTube. How can
Yeah.
we leverage that the best way?
Well, and I just want to mention really quick as we get into this too, that the amount of time it takes on YouTube is not as long as most people think it is. So it's a balance between, it's not going to be overnight, but I got my first client from YouTube 11 days after I started publishing.
Nice.
So when you are on YouTube, you're talking about your thing and people see you, and I had a handful of, I think I had 17 subscribers at that point.
Wow.
Everything changes. And as you mentioned, video, and the other part of that is spending time with the person. So for example, when someone watches you on your podcast or listens to you on your podcast, they're spending time with you, and a substantial amount of time. When we look at these short form video platforms or text posts or whatever, even for the quote longer ones, if you're lucky, somebody spent 60 to 90 seconds with you.
Yeah.
So if we imagine that it takes 20 to 30 minutes to spend with somebody before we know, like, and trust them at a minimum. On YouTube, somebody could find you, binge watch 3 or 4 of your videos the same day, and they're already there. On
Yeah.
Instagram, it could take months or years for somebody to watch 30 minutes of your reels.
Yeah.
So the 90 minutes a week all comes from stripping away the noise. There's so much chaos on YouTube. There are there's obviously regular long form videos, there's shorts, there's podcasts, there's memberships, there's community posts, there's, so many different things.
Yeah.
But the thing that comes with the highest ROE is the long form video. That is the traditional YouTube video, widescreen, let's say minimum of, 4 or 5 minutes, but certainly can be longer. That's what lives on for years and years. That's what the bulk of my channel and most channels are made out of.
Yeah.
And So that's one thing, is we only focus on that. We don't worry about shorts or any of the other stuff.
Okay.
The next thing we do is we train the algorithm to understand our audience. So what happens is if we upload different videos on different topics that are slightly different, for slightly different people, which when we have an expertise is really easy to do without realizing it,
Yeah, it
we're like,
is.
oh, well, what I teach could be helpful to parents talking to their kids, but also for somebody to talk to their boss or,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
And so we've got to basically make it so, like, we have to dumb it down for YouTube to go, oh, they help this one person with this one thing.
Got
So
it.
the way we do that in my program, the YT90 Activation Lab, is we put together what I call your magnetic 8 videos. And those are 8 videos in a row that are helping the same person with the same exact topic, the same
Got it.
exact problem that they're solving.
Okay.
So for example, a few years ago, I was helping people with social media platforms, and I wanted to help people with podcasting. I had no online presence for podcast, like as a podcast expert at all. No blog posts, no videos, nothing. So I published back to back videos about how to start a podcast. And
Okay.
within 60 days, I'd launched a program about podcasting, and people were signing up and they're like, hey, where'd you hear about me? And they were saying, I either searched YouTube or I Googled how to start a podcast.
Nice.
You can imagine that's a pretty competitive search phrase.
Yes.
And I went from nothing to having that by doing that. And that was the first time I went, oh, I see what YouTube's doing now. Like now it knows who I'm
Right.
after.
Yeah.
And I wasn't teaching podcast growth. It was all about how to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So basically we want to publish 8 videos in a row, your magnetic 8, helping one person with the same general problem that they have. And all of a sudden on the back end, YouTube goes, oh, okay, now we know who they're talking to and we can match them up to that. If I publish videos about different topics every single week, then YouTube doesn't know how to match up our videos. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
So you can imagine how much better YouTube works if you don't have to promote your own videos. YouTube will promote them for you.
Yes, that would be lovely. That would be lovely.
Yes. So
would
that's
love
what
that.
happens. And YouTube wants to match, they make money by people watching videos they like. So if you're making videos that are for a certain person, they want that person to see those videos.
Sure, because they want that person to stay there on the platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes
so,
sense.
and they're doing it selfishly, right? That's how they make money
Totally.
off of ads. They're not like, oh, let me help Tracy out.
Right.
They're doing it themselves. But hey, we can take advantage of that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first thing. And I mentioned that I did that on an existing channel. So this works on a new channel or on an existing channel.
That's good to know. That is good
Yeah.
because I have, as you know, I have an existing channel that happened by accident and it's doing okay. But I don't think that I followed what you're saying because I do have lots of videos that are for online entrepreneurs, coaches, course creators to build an email list and all that. But I didn't do like 8 in a row about list growth and how to grow the list specifically. So maybe
Yes.
I kind of I kind of jumbled that up a little bit, I think.
And which almost everybody does. So
Yeah.
that's totally, totally normal. And, just to give context, if you don't have a channel yet, I started a new channel last year because I wanted to basically overcome the doubt that, oh, well, it's too late. You started back in 2017 or things like that.
Right.
So, which I totally get, right? That's valid. So
Yeah.
I started a brand new channel, and within 21 days, over 60% of my views were coming from YouTube recommending the videos to people who I didn't know who I was yet. So you can imagine having a channel that's 3 weeks old, right? We weren't even through the magnetic 8 yet in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And videos were coming up on the homepage at youtube.com. They were coming up in the feed. They were coming up, I think over 15% of the views were coming from search results on a brand new channel where it was showing my video in search results high enough that somebody was willing to catch on it. So that's the first part. Teach the algorithm who to show your videos to, and all of a sudden, that ROE, that return on effort for everything you do is much, much better.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do the magnetic 8. And then what are we doing with our 90 minutes?
So the next thing that makes this really, really worth it is what you decide to focus your time on. So a lot of people come in, they say, oh, I've got to look professional, right? I'm a business. I've got to look professional. I've got to have fancy editing. Maybe I've got to hire an editor, learn to edit, block off all this time to edit. But the highest ROE for videos on YouTube is not the way that they're edited. I shared the
Thank
survey
God.
where they connected the brain sensors and it was all about emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we let that go. Now, I'm not saying no editing, but we have some pretty
Right.
amazing tools out there for editing videos now that look really good, and you can
Yeah.
edit a video in 10 to 15 minutes. But
Okay.
where we put our time and effort in is into the actual outline or script itself.
Mhm.
So if you're dividing your time into, okay, how much am I going to put into editing? How much am I going to put on to actually making the video in the first place? The video, like what you talk about in the video as an entrepreneur, is going to be far more important. That you're solving the problem, that you're making something that people will stick through and watch all the way through, and that gets them excited about your business, knowing, liking, and trusting you, and shifting the beliefs that they need before they're willing to take that next step. And nothing does that as well as YouTube in terms of just, free content that you can put out there. So that's the next part. And then the last part of this is we have to make sure we get leads from our videos.
Yes.
So for a long time in the beginning, I told you about how the stranger reached out and he's like, wow, you must be making so much money in your business. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a business. I don't know how to do that. I also learned that views do not equal leads automatically.
Okay. Say that again. That's important.
Views do not equal leads.
Okay.
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 I would much rather have a video with 100 views that gave me 5 warm leads than a
Yes.
video with 1,000 views that gave me 2 warm leads, right? I
Same.
assume most
Yes.
entrepreneurs would agree.
Yeah.
And so traditional lead generation just doesn't work on YouTube, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I learned this the hard way first. I was just like, okay, I'm going to talk about my lead magnet and I'm going to ask them to go download it and things like that. But we have to keep in mind the person on YouTube is busy. Sometimes they're in a hurry. If you're attracting new people, they don't know, like, and trust you yet. And so they're not going to listen to you ramble on about how valuable your free thing is for 30 seconds. And if you spend that much time on it, your retention or your watch time on the video goes down, you get fewer recommendations from YouTube.
Yeah.
So that takes us back to the way to do lead generation on YouTube is instead of lead magnets, I call them need magnets.
I like that.
Yeah, wasn't the original name. My wife, who's very creative, suggested that, and I Googled it. And I can't believe nobody's using this yet. So
Yeah.
but there's 3 key points to a need magnet instead of a lead magnet. So first, it's got to be something that viewer needs and realizes they need it the moment that they hear it.
Yes.
So, for example, obviously lead magnets are supposed to be something that people feel like they need anyway, but a lot of them fall into the nice to have category, right?
Correct.
Get our
Yes.
guide on how to do this or things like that.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. One of my need magnets is a list of the 12 parts of a YouTube channel that you need to optimize in order to maximize your views and getting found in search and everything as a business.
Yeah.
And when YouTube has you set up your YouTube channel, they only require 2 things: a channel name and a username, or they call it the handle now. And so in my videos, sometimes, like let's say I'm making a video about the YouTube channel banner, the graphic that goes to the top of a channel. I'll say, by the way, the banner is only one of the 12 things you need to optimize about your YouTube channel. If you don't have the others set up, you need to know what they are. Grab the list down below, right?
Love it.
So if you hear that and you go, there's 12, right? You immediately go, I need that list
Yes.
to move
Yes.
forward. I definitely don't want to miss out on views. So that's the first
Right.
thing. They need to need it. The
Okay.
second thing, and this is probably the most important part, is you need to be able to pitch it in 5 to 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So I just demonstrated how to do that. If you have to spend longer explaining it, you're going to lose watch time and it's going
Okay.
to hurt you. Okay.
Got it.
So again, they need to be something they need. It needs to be something that you can pitch in 5 to 8 seconds.
Okay.
And the third thing is now escaping me, even though I talk about this all the time. But those are the main things. It's got to be something that you can do so quick that it just makes it feel like, it's a no-brainer for them. Oh, I remember the third thing. Yeah. Apologies for the momentary brain
No,
lapse.
you're fine.
The third thing is it shouldn't ever feel like a pitch.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And all lead magnets ideally don't feel like a pitch. But
Yeah.
when you make them strong enough, they don't need to feel like a pitch. So I say, by the way, do you know there are 12 parts of your YouTube channel you need to optimize? If you don't know what they all are, go grab my free list,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like I'm pitching you like, you'll never succeed without this amazing thing I put together. You got to go download it. It's 26 pages and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So before we had the name Need Magnet, I was already using this concept on my channel, as I was figuring out lead gen. And I was actually calling it the I got you lead magnet because I wanted it to feel like, oh, you don't have that? Pfft, I got you. I got you, So it was more like, oh, no problem. Here you go. As opposed to, so go download this thing or bad things will happen to you.
Right.
So that's the need magnet strategy. And they say the average conversion on a good, strong channel for views to leads is like 1%. So if you got 100 views, you might get 1 lead. And people using need magnets often get at least 5% conversion of views to leads because it just ties in so much better.
Nice. I like that. So tell me because as perfectionists, we tend to overthink and overcomplicate. What's one thing that you have seen people continuously overcomplicate on the platform on YouTube that actually turns out it really doesn't matter at all?
It's a great question. The biggest thing is that I would say probably either thinking about what video to make or the editing itself, as I talked about. A lot of people get so stuck on what video to make. And honestly, making any video is better than not making a video.
I 100% agree. I'm like, done is better than perfect, man. Just get it out there and let people see you.
Yeah.
And I always remind my students and clients what my mom has said since I was little. Perfection is boring. Just don't even try for it, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're overcomplicating it because they want to make it perfect. They're like, I don't know what to say, but you're like, just pick something and go.
Well, yeah. If you've got nothing else, obviously I recommend having a strategy.
Yes.
Sometimes people just pick something and go, and that's where they end up stuck because YouTube doesn't understand their channel.
True.
But yes, at some point, yeah, it's better to just do that than nothing at all. But one thing you'll be surprised by is once you get a little bit more intentional, you start publishing videos regularly. I rarely run into anyone where they're like, oh my gosh, I just don't know what video to make, because it just happens. Questions pop up. You realize things that people need. One of your video, one of the first signals that your channel's starting to work. I have a client right now this is happening to where she has been publishing videos for a while, and all of a sudden she's got this video that is getting like thousands of impressions, which means it's showing up in feeds or search or on the homepage, and people are starting to click on it. So it's starting to get more and more impressions, and the watch time's really good. So one of the first things that'll happen is you'll have a video that pops off. And as soon as that happens, it's like, oh, I should make more videos on that topic, right? So as soon as you figure out these things that are working, then it's time to make more videos like this. I have a friend, Mike, who he had a really successful channel, I think almost 300,000 subscribers. When AI came along, he went, oh, my channel's going to die. AI can do this for people. There's no need for me anymore.
Yeah.
And he might have been being dramatic. I don't know. But he said, I got to start over. So he started a brand new channel, and it was about AI actually. And he started, playing with different things. And then about 4 months in, he had this one video on one topic, like take off. And he basically said, okay, YouTube, thank you for letting me know. And he switched all of his content to that specific topic within his niche. And he grew to 100,000 subscribers by the end of his first year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we just really need to,
that's not always happening, right? But
Right.
what we can do on a micro level is when we see a video start working, we just make more videos like that. That's going to serve you better, especially if it's giving you leads and sales, which is ultimately what we're after.
And that's kind of a duh moment for me. Like, oh, yes, we should be doing that. Why didn't we all think of that? Exactly. It's like pay attention to what's working and then do more of that.
Sometimes we feel like, oh, I've already made that video. I can't make it again.
Yeah.
But that's like Apple saying, oh, we already made the first iPhone. We can't make a second one. We can't make a third one, right?
Yes.
Literally make videos over and over and over again. I have tons of videos on my channel that I do a new version every year because things have changed, because YouTube, prefers recency. But more than that, maybe you include something the second time that people asked about the first time and it wasn't there. Or maybe you just, got better at it. So your new version is better. But yeah, there's no reason to not make a video again because, oh no, I made it a year ago.
Yeah, I love that. What kind of video for my audience? We are coaches, course creators, and the service providers that want to work with them. So like YouTube experts like yourself,
Yep.
branding strategists, website designers, copywriters, tech people. What kind of videos and are the best for us that you think would convert well? But then also you were talking about we don't have to make these things fancy, right?
Right.
Okay.
Is that the end of your question? I just wanted to make
Yes,
sure.
I'm sorry. I tend to
No.
ask a whole lot of questions in one, and it's like I need to stop doing that.
No, all good,
You're
all
really
good. This is a conversation. We are humans, right? This is not scripted. So the type of videos you want to make are, and again, this is going to sound so simple, but it's videos answering the questions that your audience is already asking. But what a lot of people need to do is they need to narrow it down so that it is still for that same person, helping them solve the same general problem. Okay. So for you, Tracy, you are obviously teaching audience growth for course creators, consultants, coaches, service providers, right? I'm trying to get expertise-based entrepreneurs to catch on because that's kind of who I work with as well. But it's a bit of a mouthful, but same type of audience, right? So all of your videos should be around list building or audience growth and the questions and problems that they have about that. More specifically, though, we want to get a little bit more narrow where it's not the things that they are maybe wondering about. It's the things that they're already thinking about, they're already worried about getting right when they do it, or they're worried that they didn't get it right and they already do it. Because those are the things we're adding in the emotion, right? Like we talked about.
Yep.
And those are the things that somebody will click on. So to give you an example, I could make a video called How to Choose Your YouTube Channel's Name, right? And that people might click on that are thinking about their YouTube channel name, but people who already have a channel name won't ever click on that. So if I make a video instead that says, is your YouTube channel name driving away your ideal clients?
Oh, there you go.
Right? And this is a video that's on my list. I haven't made it. But at that point, now the person who already has a channel is going to click on it. Well, if they want clients. And the person who doesn't have a channel is go, oh, let me make sure I name it in a way that it doesn't drive away my ideal clients.
Right. I see the point. I see the difference. That is such a good example. And now you have to go make that video today and put it out there because I don't want anybody to steal your idea.
All good. I never worry about that because I don't know, something about my brain. I just think of things differently in different ways than most people.
Yeah.
And so I never worry too much about that. And I've made tons of videos that other people have made before.
We all have, I think.
Yeah, but we have our own angles on things. So
for sure. So one more question about the 90-minute approach. If somebody follows the 90-minute approach consistently for 90 days, I think I know the answer because we've already talked about this, but what kind of growth, momentum should they realistically expect?
So there's a lot of things that it depends on, obviously. And I know that's the most annoying answer to that question ever.
It's true. Most of the time, it depends.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, during the beginning, I recommend don't do it alone, right? Find a buddy, join a group, join a program. That's one of the ways that I talk about my program because it's like it's very vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
If you're doing it the first time, you're worried about, oh, do I look okay? Does it sound okay? Are my edits, all of these different things. And so being in a group of other people who are also getting out of their comfort zone is really, really powerful. The second part is you want to look for the wins that are not in your YouTube analytics. If you just sit there and watch your views, it's probably going to be disappointing unless you happen to get lucky and have a video pop off like right away. So, but if you get into if you think about the other things, like I got my first client 11 days after I started, by the end of 2 months, I was still only at 28 subscribers, but I'd booked 2 paid speaking gigs from this tiny YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So at the time, I was looking at my views going, oh, I don't know if I want to keep going. This is, I don't know if this is worth it. But then looking back, I realized, oh my gosh, there were signs everywhere. So you look for that. But beyond that, it's going to depend on a couple of things. Is your niche already crowded? One of the
Yeah.
things we do is we work with you on what we call a unique premise. And this is going to be a new angle on what you do so that
Yep.
you stand out no matter how crowded your niche is. And there's a lot of other amazing secondary benefits of that. But,
Yep.
and then, we have some people who have published, and before they even get to the end of their magnetic 8, they're already getting a few hundred views per video. And then we've had other people where the signals they're looking for is like, they're publishing every week and they're getting, 17, 18 views. And then all of a sudden somebody books a call and they sign a year-long contract. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is great. So it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. I like to say to people 2 things. One, if you can't commit for 6 months, like one video per week, don't bother starting. Because
Interesting.
because you're going to know something within 6 months. You're going to feel it. You might have even passed that tipping point within 6 months, but you're at least going to start to feel like, okay, I see what's happening here. People are liking me. They're trusting me more. The buyer cycle is shortened with YouTube because, like we talked about, people spend time with you on video.
Yep.
So if you can't spend 6 months, then, don't even bother. But the second thing is when you take this simpler approach, this 90-minute approach, what I call my YT90 system, you can start building it as a side hustle. And it's much easier to know that you're going to stick with it if you didn't design a plan that is going to take you 10 hours a week, because you're going to burn out real fast in that world.
Yeah, totally. I love everything you're sharing. So, okay, one more question just for fun.
Okay.
And then we'll land the plane. If you could tell your younger self one thing about business, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. I do often wonder what my life might have been like had I gotten into entrepreneurship in my 20s. I mean, I was still working on radio. I had a dream job. I mean, it was, I got to work with my wife, which is not for everybody. It was great for us. But I do wonder about that. But I would say the one thing that I know now, and I would definitely tell them then, is everything that comes up, every shiny object, every opportunity or things disguised as opportunities, either decide it's important or decide it's not. And if it's important, give it everything it needs: money, time, whatever. If it's not important, let it go and don't even worry about it again. Because we are surrounded by, quote, opportunities, which a lot of them are just shiny objects. And so I try and look at everything with that filter. The hardest person to say no to is myself, because I have ideas all the time.
Right.
I could do this. I could do this. I could do this.
Right.
No, Jerry. No. No. Stop it. And the same thing with YouTube. Decide it's important and then give it what it needs, or decide it's not important and focus on what you are already doing. And either of those answers is totally okay.
Yeah. Much wisdom. I love it. Yeah. You have to take yourself out on a hike and go, Jerry, stop it.
Yes. Well, that's when I get my ideas on hikes. So that's.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. You have something very valuable for our listeners. You want to tell them about it? It's a super cool roadmap.
Yeah. So when somebody says, how do I get started in 90 minutes a week? Or how is this even possible? Or you're a liar. I put together something. It's called the YT90 roadmap. So the YouTube in 90 minutes system is called YT90 system. And you can download it for free. Just go to YT90roadmap.com and it'll start to kind of walk you through how to get started thinking about YouTube in 90 minutes a week. I'll tell you, there's some things in there that even if you're not using YouTube, might shift your mindset around whatever kind of content marketing that you are doing. But yeah, that's the first step. Just go to YT90roadmap.com.
Nice. Thank you so much for that. You guys, I put that link in the show notes as well. Where's the best place I know what you're going to say. Duh. Where's the best place for them to find you and connect with you, Jerry?
I am very lucky that if you go to YouTube and you search for Jerry Potter, I should come up at the top of the results.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best place to start, or as we mentioned, the YT90roadmap.com.
Love that. Thank you so much again for being here. Let me just wrap us up really fast. I say this at the end of every podcast every week, my friends. They know what's coming. I just want to remind you, don't try to do this by yourself. I love what Jerry shared about if you want to get into YouTube, find a buddy and do it together because it's way more fun, or get into a group coaching program where somebody can really shore you up, because being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. Some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling, and other days you think nobody is even remembering your name. And when you think, if you think you're alone in that feeling, even if you're so many years in, like Jerry and I are, but you're not. I still have days where I feel like that. We all have days where we feel like that. And that's when you need to get into a community of support where you can know that you're not alone. I have a free Facebook group I'd love for you to join. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible, Grow Your Email List and Your Income. And you can get amazing support in my free group. It's a beautiful community. I want you guys to have a great balance of the week and weekend. And remember, when one of us rises, we all rise. So that is why we have got to keep cheering each other on. Jerry, thank you again for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. This was fun.
Well, it's fun.